Argh, not another podcast about book publishing, hosted by William May, in which the author finds himself embroiled in a podcast about book publishing.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Argh, not another podcast about book publishing. I guess that's a little bit of a tongue twister there.
Yeah.
Or at least for me today it is. How are you doing, Meggie?
I'm good. It's getting darker and colder around here, but I'm glad that we're talking and we're recording today.
Winter is upon us, and as we begin the final hurdle of the year and get through our holidays and everything, I feel like the end of the year is a really good time for reflecting back. I don't think I'm unusual in that thought, but we figured here at Argh that we would take this final episode as a sort of opportunity to pause and look back over the last year and talk about the things we're grateful for. We have a few messages from some members of our community, a few people who reached out and told us things that they're thinking about as the new year begins and what they're looking forward to and hopeful about and what they feel grateful for in the last 12 months and sustained by, I suppose. And so, I think that's sort of generally our theme today, just a little bit of gratitude to help you hopefully feel a little grateful yourself as the new year begins and the old year wraps up. As you know, I've got Meggie here, and we're also joined, as usual, by Denise Marsa and Melissa Nastasi. And Denise, you want to say hello?
Yes. Hello. This is such a great idea. I'm glad you had this idea for this podcast, William, because little, medium, big gratitude is really good. It really helps, I think, to put things in place, to find what you are grateful for and what makes you, enjoy life and people around you. And that's what we're going to talk about today. But before we get into what we're all grateful for, and William, could you share with us your experience? Because I know, talk about gratitude, you recently met up with the owner, publisher of your debut book, Blaze Without Burning, Finishing Line Press. You met up with, is it Leah or Leah? Did we figure that out when you had, it's Leah?
It's Leah. Yes. A little bit later, we're going to be checking in with her with a little bit of a note that she sent us. But Leah, it just happened Melissa and I were traveling, and she's her company is located in Kentucky, and so I was able to reach out to her because we were going to be in the area, and we met for the first time, which is very exciting. She's been publishing books, I think, for several decades at this point, and I was very grateful for the opportunity to, meet her finally after all the work that we've done over the last year. And, she was responsible for getting Blaze Without Burning out into the world, for which, I can't say enough. And it was really wonderful to sit down. I met her and her husband. Melissa and I had a chance to sit down with them, and I just spent a little bit of time more socially getting to know one another than anything. But it turns out that she has, we had certain things in common in terms of our backgrounds that were very interesting. And, we talked about, she spent some time in New York many years ago, I think, when she was younger, living in the city. And so we sort of talked about, a lot of things that sort of felt very connected. I know we posted a few photos up on social media and some other stuff. And I'm just really, great. Honestly, if you want to talk about gratitude, I'm just grateful to have someone supportive and someone who I feel very much kindred spirit with.
That's wonderful. Yeah, when you sent the pictures, the two of you next to each other that your Melissa Myers took the picture, I was like, oh my gosh, they seem like they've been friends, associates, close for years. It was a wonderful feeling just to see it when it came through on my phone. And so the fact that that's exactly how it felt, how lucky you must feel. And also, was it not Leah that also submitted you for the push cart prize.
Yes, it was.
Yeah.
For which I am again very grateful. And I don't know. I think she has been working to also submit my book for a Florida Book Award. This year they started a new chapbook category. I think it's new this year, and I feel really grateful for that as well. It's very exciting to feel supported by and buoyed in that sense.
Yeah, and I also think you had mentioned to me, she said something that I thought was really so generous when she said to you, whether it's Finishing Line Press or another press.
She's a very supportive person, and she's very encouraging for me to get some more work out in the world, especially a longer book, a full-length volume.
Right. For people that don't know, Blaze Without Burning, your poetry book, is called a chapbook, because a lot of people did not know what a chapbook was. I was talking to a few people about poetry last week, and some people were like, "What is a chapbook?" So it's a shorter version. So she's supporting you.
Generally speaking, a chapbook is not quite as long. It's usually, I think, at most 40 or 50 pages is usually about the cutoff. I could be wrong on that. I don't think there's a hard and fast rule, but generally speaking, it's a shorter book. There are chapbooks for fiction and nonfiction as well, but it's particularly for poetry. I think it's an important opportunity for poets to get work out there before they have a full volume, or even when they're just, even a poet who is more established. Sometimes you'll have work that you're like, want to bring together, but it's not a full book, or you'll have an experimental piece experimental, not necessarily in the broad sense, but in the sense of your own work even, that just isn't quite going to fit into a larger manuscript at that point, but you want to get it out there, that kind of thing. So, they can be a very important stepping stone for work.
Yeah, your chapbook was perfect timing. Obviously, the way it's been received, it proves that, yes, this was perfect timing. So with that, and with your explaining and sharing with us your experience of meeting your publisher, do you want to read? I know she sent us.
Yeah, why don't I read? We can start out. I will read what Leah said about this year. And this is Leah. I hope I get the pronunciation of her full name correct, but it's Leah Wete Demains, and that's Huete De Mains, Maines. And Leah is the publisher at Finishing Line Press in Kentucky. So she said, while 2025 tested my family in many ways, I step into 2026 with hope for gentler days, the comfort of family and friends, and the steady companionship of poetry.
Well, that's beautiful. That's wonderful. Thanks for reading that. And now,
well, why don't you share your gratitude?
And thanks for asking this question again, Will. I love it. My gratitude is at an all-time high. Music continues to fuel me in so many ways, and it's incredible to see it being heard. My YouTube channel is growing, and my tracks charting in the top 10 of UK dance clubs feels absolutely phenomenal. And yes, I wrote this out before because I knew this was the topic. Marsa Media is thriving thanks to my extraordinary team, Meggie and Melissa, Meggie Dimitrova and Melissa Nastasi, and our inspiring clients. William May, watching your debut poetry book, Blaze Without Burning, take flight and receive such remarkable attention fills me with pride. And Dr. Keela, whose mission is to help others, has had a standout year as well. Her YouTube channel's filled with timely and meaningful videos and has jumped from under 1K nearly to now to 10K subscribers in about 6 months. And then there's my love of Tucson and my dwelling and my charming little apartment in the West Village, my hideaways, my sanctuaries, and the spaces that hold my creativity, my productivity, and keep me grounded.
And I feel like it is worth pointing out, because I know our listeners know you in one context, but you might, they should know. Why don't you share where they can find some of your music?
Okay, thanks. basically I'm on all streaming platforms. And also, I should say, I'm also proud of the fact that we did the music for Blaze Without Burning. So you can get that on Spotify. I worked with Paul A. Harvey on that. And then you can hear me on Spotify, YouTube channels, Denise Marsa Music, and Spotify, and Apple, and Pandora. You can put my name in and it should come up. So I think they're part of the whole package, the 7 that went top 10. And now we're working on our 8th top 10 with Whole. And Until Dawn remix. It's pretty intense, and we just finished our video. So yeah, so I'm out there. So thanks, Will, and I hope you all have a chance to listen, especially the Blaze Without Burning. It's a cool concept to do a soundtrack. It's not Will talking, it's music that you can listen to while you're reading the book.
Yeah, no, it was, I am very grateful to you and Paul for doing that, because really I just sort of sat back and watched as that came together. It was amazing.
Yeah, so. It was interesting. And now we use a lot of the videos, like the songs, like when Meggie, who's going to be next in line, Meggie, so get ready. Meggie, like when we work on the video. Yeah, I find different songs, and it's really interesting how different tracks from the CD that we released, that like I'll listen, and then I'll find the perfect song that we did to go with that video that we just worked on, like the one we just did with Leia and you at the restaurant at the Merrick Inn when you all had dinner in Kentucky.
Yeah, no, you did a little the video.
Music, yeah, and
yeah.
But I quite a few of them, and that one, I think it was Tonight I Saw the Moon. That's the one we ended up using. I think Meggie, right? Meggie, over to you.
Yeah, page 25th.
My Baba, who's in Portugal, but who's originally from the area. Why don't you read what you're grateful for?
There is a lot to be grateful for this year. And of course, before I start reading mine, of course, I'm really grateful for, we're working together with Denise for over 5 years. So it's been a minute. And, I have already told Denise, I'm really grateful to have her, like, as a client, as the person who I'm working with, and also as, I would call a friend, even though we never actually met in the real life. But, I see Denise as, more than a client and more than Marsa Media, which I'm part of. So
thank you.
Yeah. I also wrote down mine because I was like, okay, there is so much going on in my head that I needed to kind of put it together. So as I look back on my 2025, my heart is full. Moving to a new city just a year ago, I found my rhythm here, new friends, new corners of the city that it feels like home, and a sense of belonging that I didn't know I could build so quickly. I signed up for my driving lessons, and we adopted our sweet cat, Rocky.
Tell the city, where you moved from to where?
I moved from Porto to Braga. So I lived 4 years in Porto, and I moved up north to Braga.
And where were you before?
Istanbul, and then before that, Bulgaria, Sofia, Bulgaria.
So that's where you were born, right? Sofia?
Yeah. Yeah. But I live in Portugal over the last 5 years. So, one of the things that actually it's not on my on my gratitude list is that I got my 10 years residency card in Portugal this year. So this is like one of the big, I would call it quote unquote achievements.
Yay.
Which I'm really proud of and really grateful for. This year, I also stepped into my voice, guiding others through my intuitive writing and journaling workshops, receiving feedback that reminded me why I create and why I share. And above all, I feel more myself than ever before. For that, I'm grateful for my own patience and for the patience and love of my partner. And here in last is for my clients at Marsa Media, Denise Marsa, William May, and Dr. Kila. Thank you for trusting me with your work. Your stories and visions, supporting your music, poetry, and powerful messages has been one of the great privileges of my year. Your creativity, purpose continues to inspire me to grow, evolve, and show up with intention. Here's to growth, softness, and all the ways we quietly bloom.
That's beautiful. Yay!
Yeah.
The crowd roars. So, Melissa Nastasi out there in upstate New York or somewhere like that, Hudson County, why don't you hit us with your gratitude?
Yeah, mine was pretty short and sweet. I was grateful to be working alongside such a strong, supportive team and people who show up and collaborate and make the work feel exciting instead of overwhelming every week. And I'm grateful for the relationships we've built with Key Media internally and externally. And just for the trusted opportunities that we've had come in from those connections throughout the year. And yeah, I'm especially grateful to be working with William, Denise, and Meggie, whose talent and dedication to every project makes it feel, meaningful and, goes above and beyond, worth the effort. And together, it just reminds me how lucky I am to do the work that feels both challenging and energizing. And yeah, and of course, my dog Zoe, who keeps me sane.
Or it keeps you sane, right? Or keeps you on your toes, for sure. The 13-year-old dog, face was in the plant. Thanks, Melissa. And back at you. It's you're newest to the team, and it's a pleasure working with you, getting to know you. And sometimes you pull that rabbit out of the hat. I'm like, dang, so good to you, and thank you as well. And yeah, and this was the first. Will got to meet you at the Pete's Candy Store event that you booked. And it was my first time meeting you. So we've been working together for a while. And then I meet you. I'm like, oh, she's real. Because for a while, I thought maybe you were an AI
hologram.
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
robot.
More important, we both got to meet Zoe. So, that was the highlight, right?
The real brain collaboration over here.
And Zoe is Melissa's dog.
Yeah.
Who is very sweet and well behaved, and even at a place as potentially fraught as a dive bar in the back of in Brooklyn. So,
She handles. Oh.
So anyway, no, but it was lovely. It was, and I'm glad to know that to hear that you appreciate being part of this and. This crazy journey, as strange as it can be. So,
yeah. And I might just real quick before we wrap it up with Frisia's grateful and whatever else you want to close with, William. There is a chance that our Meggie, who 5 years now I've never met, maybe there's a chance. I heard a little bit of a whisper about it. She may be in the United States of America or close to it, and we might be able to meet her in New York City. So keep that in mind, team. We might actually meet Meggie. Right, Meggie?
Yeah, I hope so. Let's see.
So
okay.
That would be lovely. I know that we've been working together for a while now, and it would be lovely to get the opportunity to actually sit down somewhere and have a cup of tea or coffee or something. Anyway, I know that for me, I have so many things that I could be grateful for right now. And it's very hard to sort of narrow it down and say, but obviously, this has been a really tremendous journey with Blaze Without Burning, and one that I know I would not be on without so many people, including everyone on this podcast and many others and many who are listening to it as well. And I want to just say how much love and gratitude I have for all of you. And that I'm very excited about the opportunities that seem to be popping up around me as we begin the new year. We've got a lot of stuff that's going on that I think will be very exciting. But obviously, it's been an amazing journey, and it's continuing to be. It's taken me a long time to get to this point in my career. I keep telling people I feel like I'm a mid-career poet who's just beginning my career, which is an amazing place to be. I've had some real fortune in the last few weeks. Unfortunately, I was somewhat sick. I caught pneumonia when Melissa and I were in New York or in Ohio because I haven't spent enough time in winter. And so now when I visit in winter, it seems to try to kill me. But, I made it and I'm back, which is another thing that I'm grateful for. My doctor gave me more or less a clean bill of health and just said, take it a little easy for a while. But the pneumonia seems to have gone.
Thank God.
That's one thing. But I was going to say one of the things I found when I was in Columbus, I found a lot of support there. I want to mention specifically that anyone who's a fan who hasn't picked up a copy of Blaze Without Burning and happens to be in the Columbus area, there are actually 2 bookstores in that area that are now going to have copies, at least for a little bit, of Blaze Without Burning. One is Prologue Bookshop, which is right downtown on High Street. And the other is Storyline Books out in, which is located out in, I think, Upper Arlington. I may be wrong. That may be the wrong neighborhood, but it's called Storyline Books, and you can certainly find it. And
That's great.
Both of those places for taking the chance of carrying, an unknown poet's book. Book is not necessarily the most fruitful choice for most bookstores because, unfortunately, poetry isn't always what people look for. But I know the people who do look for it are the most dedicated, and I am very grateful to that because I think I'm very grateful to find that I think more and more people are moving towards poetry in the last few years. I've certainly had that experience talking to people that, poetry matters to people more than, than you might think from popular culture. And I'm very grateful to find that to be the truth.
Yeah. And I want to, what's really amazing about what you mentioned, the 2 bookstores, is that you took a very hands-on approach as the poet, as the writer. You went in, you've been going to these bookstores because you go to Ohio because that's where your partner's,
mother that's where Melissa's family is from. And
exactly.
Over the last few years, had a lot of reasons to be up there to visit, and
you have nothing. It's good. It's great you went in there and that you spoke to them, and they ordered the book from a distributor, and it just goes to show that, back to the braggalicious, you're just sharing what you love doing, and people have to say yes or no.
This is one of those things. I was talking when I was talking to Leah Maines. One of the things we talked about was that, she's like, if you don't ask, nothing happens.
Exactly.
It can be hard to go out there and do it, but, it's like, if you don't go and ask and say, hey, can you do this for me? It probably won't happen on its own. So, and if you do ask, that's, there's a risk there, but at the same time,
there is also an opportunity.
You gotta take it.
Opportunity, exactly. There's loss, there's gain. There's gain. You can't. The fact that you go into the store and you talk about your work, it's your life's work. That's a gain just there. And if they say yes,
I feel very lucky. They were very receptive, and it was a very positive thing. And
that's a lesson for all.
Someone will walk into that bookstore and find the book who never knew it existed, and it will be just the thing they need in that moment. That would be my wish for the universe,
Yeah, we're going to leave some links to these 2 bookstores in the podcast description. So whoever is watching then can, check them out. And then when we are sharing on our social media, we're going to tag them so people can, in the area, can find it easily.
And I was going to say something. I was going to say this earlier when Denise was talking about the connection that she saw between Leah and I in when we were in those photos. And one of the things that I'm grateful for, and I think this brings us around to what Frisia has to say, I find that when I am in a community with other writers, with poets in particular, there is a sense that our poetic interest, our connection to that almost makes us instantly already people who like share so much in a way that it's very natural to sort of fall into these very warm, very close relationships with people. I've been to workshops where it's like you only spend a week at this event, and by the end you feel like these are your best friends for life, you know? And, you know, it's an amazing thing, the kind of community that can develop when you have that kind of shared mentality, and the way in which, you know, you can feel very connected to other people, even if you, in theory, only met them a few weeks ago or a few hours ago. And that's why I really feel very strongly about, you know, what Frisia had to say was beautiful, which is, you know, she talked about her gratitude, which is, and I will quote here, "I'm grateful for a writing community that spans across the country and around the world."
Mm.
And I know that struck me very strongly.
And I have to say one thing, and I know Meggie has something else that just came in. You know, as we're speaking, we have another quote, another grateful came in. But real quick, I kind of wish more people would read poetry, because it is a community, and it is something that I think that brings peace and brings something that other writing does not. Even when you're reading news, or when you're reading an email, or when you're, you know, listening or reading, there's something very internal about reading poetry. And I think the world, the universe would be a better place if more people picked up poetry books, including Blaze Without Burning. So Meggie, over to you.
Yeah, we just heard back from Julie Traustad. She was our guest for our latest episode. And so hers is very similar to what Frisia said. And what she says is, I'm grateful for being able to have a career where I work with amazing creative writers. Every author I work with teaches me something new.
Awesome. Thank you, Julie, wherever you are. So, Will, this was your idea to do this grateful, and I think it was a brilliant one, I might add. So how do you want to close this podcast? Because we're at that time now, we're going to wrap it up.
I mean, I suppose, you know, really, like, all I want to say is just a big thank you to everyone out there who's listening, that we're grateful to you as well, that you are part of our community. And, you know, I want to open up, you know, if people want to send us their messages of gratitude, we'd be glad to share some of them on social media in the next few weeks as well. So, you know, if you have another message that you want to share, you can send it over to our team, either, you know, record a little audio or video if you want, or you can just send it written down, and we'll try to share some of those in the next few weeks. Year wraps up, because I feel like this is a good energy for us to bring and share with everyone as the year closes. So,
absolutely. Well, from me, from West Village, I'm going to be signing off. Thank you, everybody. Amazing year, and thank you, Will. And I just wish everybody to continue, and may the productivity just keep rising, and all our goals and dreams come true. I know that sounds a little trite, but I think dreaming and goals are really a wonderful part to keep life stimulating. So thanks, everybody.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yep. Thank you, Melissa. Thank you for being here. And thank you, Meggie, Denise, and listeners, thanks to all of you as well. So have a happy holiday, and we'll be back in January.
Argh, Not Another Podcast About Book Publishing is produced by Denise Marsa, Meggie Dimitrova, and William May. Please visit williammaywrites.com for social media links, recited poems, and more.